lot of these people really worship Satan. Jay-Z's friend Tata orchestrated the hit. When R. Kelly arrived to MCC Chicago, I was on Unit 15. We initially started off discussing simple things like how the music industry is ran as far as business, but that was my way of like breaking the ice with him. Of course, I wanted to know more in-depth things like these so-called conspiracy theories. Like, do people really like sell their soul, and what do that mean when they sell their soul, and what do people have to do and stuff like that? And the first time I actually addressed that to him, and so he basically sarcastically said that, what you think going on with me right now? You know what I'm saying? I wasn't in compliance with what they wanted me to do. So, you know what I'm saying, if I were to continue to live how they wanted me to live and participate in things that they wanted me to participate in, this would have never happened. You know what I mean? But that's why I'm here. You know what I'm saying? They lynching me because I tried to fall back from certain activities. A lot of those activities are what people been speculating. You know what I mean? Like, people have to degrade themselves. Some people, you know, it's a science behind sacrificing a loved one. Like the people who run the music industry, they, you know, some of us are Christians or Muslims. We believe in God or you know, Buddhism or whatever. But a lot of these people really worship and believe in Satan and the devil, and they have certain practices that most people wouldn't understand. Like, why would you have to sign a contract in blood? Why would you have to sacrifice a loved one? Like, most people can't even fathom the idea of that, you know what I mean? But R. Kelly confirmed it. A lot of those things go on.
But you did end up writing a book. I mean, I understand it wasn't specifically about R. Kelly, but you wrote a book about kind of the industry. What does the book kind of cover?
Well, I got a book out called The Holy Trap Scriptures. In that book, there's a chapter entitled The Media. So I go into the music industry and other aspects of the media in that particular chapter. But recently, I published a book called Challenging the Illuminati. I go a lot more in depth into music, the music industry, the impact and the influence that music has on the minds of people in general, especially the youth, you know what I mean, who not mature enough to think for themselves. You know, the music kind of teaches them how to think and program them to perceive life in a certain way and feel like they not in the in crowd if they don't dress a certain way, act a certain way, if they don't behave in a way that make them seem like macho man and tough guys. You know, they, in today's culture, it's like you have to, well, you don't have to, but most of the youth, especially like young black kids, teenagers and young black men, they feel like you not acceptable or respected in the streets if you can't say you somebody. And that's what the music is teaching them. I go a lot into depth about things like that and even deeper things as far as, you know, sacrifices and things of that nature.
When you say sacrifice, you're talking about like sacrificing family members, sacrificing their dignity, kind of like the Cat Williams thing. How amazing is that? The Cat Williams interview? He sounded a little bit like a crackpot, and within 6 months, boom, boom, people just start getting knocked off.
You talking about the one with Shannon Sharp?
Yeah, where he's saying, "Oh, wait and see." He's like, "Oh yeah, watch. People are about to start. 2000. What did he say? 2025." He said, "Was it?"
He said something like, "Or 2024 is the year people will be exposed."
He sounded like it was sour grapes a little bit, but then within months, bam, bam, just one person after another getting hit with indictments, murder, being exposed.
Cat Williams, a prophet. That was prophetic of him to speak that into existence. Like he had to see something and probably know something even. But you're absolutely right. I think that interview actually encouraged more people to speak out about things, because for so long, like, you would never expect somebody like Cat Williams to go on a show like Club Shay Shay or whatever and speak about certain things because like even today, like a lot of podcasters tell me I can't speak about certain things. And that put me in a frame of mind that y'all compromise, y'all working for somebody, you know what I'm saying? Why I can't speak about this, that, and the other, you know what I mean? I could talk about this, like, so it shows that they trying to push a certain narrative, you know what I mean? So it was like surprising knowing how the media work and for them to allow Cat Williams to go viral off that, you know, usually interviews like that get banned. Like you got to think about Jaguar Wright interview with Piers Morgan when she was exposing Jay-Z. Like Jay-Z wasn't concerned with what she was saying at first, but when she went on Piers Morgan's show, which is like more so mainstream, now it's like, okay, now we got to do something about this because now she reaching the world and she reaching a major audience. So people gonna start taking heed to what she's saying.
Well, I don't think Cat Williams was worried because I think, you know, most people wouldn't say something because they'd be afraid it was career ending, right? But part of Cat Williams' interview was about how because he wasn't willing to do these things, his career hasn't blown up the way it should have because he's fucking hilarious, right? Like he's one of the funniest comedians out there. And yet why is it he explains very clearly, like, I didn't get this role because I was unwilling to do this. Didn't get this role because I was unwilling to do this. Didn't get that, you know, and all these other roles were going to other people, even though I was, you know, I'm selling out arenas. I'm funny. You know, I'm charismatic. I can act. I've been in several big films already that were hits. But because I wasn't willing to do the things, I'm not willing to wear a dress. I'm not willing to play a gay guy. I'm not willing to, like, these should be minor things that any actor will say, well, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. You know, there have become actors that will like, well, I won't have a romantic scene with someone. Like I won't make out with another woman. Why? Because I'm a Christian. I'm married to my wife. I'm just not going to make out with someone, you know, and they work around it. So he, you know, I think he probably felt like he was already on a bad path, so he didn't have anything to lose. But a lot of people wouldn't say that. A lot of people that probably have the same information won't say anything because their career is going the way they want it to go.
It's me, Ronnie Bo. I'm finally in the studio with my good friend Matthew Cox. Make sure y'all watch this whole interview in full because I have some great announcements. One is that my new book, Conspiracy to Colonize Our Culture, the link is in the description. Y'all gonna love it. The things that you were just speaking upon with regards to Cat Williams, like he is one of the greatest comedians of all times. And it's definitely a reason why he didn't get the opportunities that he deserved. And the same is true for R. Kelly. Like, for the record, I'm not trying to take up for R. Kelly, but a lot of the things that he spoke upon are believable to me because R. Kelly, even to this day, he one of the most accomplished musicians, R&B singers ever, if not number one. And if it wasn't for him, you know, not willing to do certain things, he would be at the top of the game right now because you got to think of all the people he wrote songs for. He even wrote songs for Michael Jackson, you know what I mean? And a lot of other big name celebrities and singers, but he didn't get the rewards that he rightfully deserved. And with regards to his accomplishments, like his music catalog alone was worth $1.2 billion, right? And it was worth that much before they named Jay-Z a billionaire and before they named Diddy a billionaire, you know? But we saw R. Kelly's career start to decline, and that's rare, and there's something strange about that with him being as successful as he was and being a songwriter and having a catalog worth $1.2 billion it indicates that something behind the scenes was going on. Like, and according to him, you know, there was things behind the scenes going on. And one was that he wasn't in compliance with certain agendas. He wanted to produce different type of music. They wanted him to over-sexualize his music. And they actually wanted him to do some very derogatory, degrading things to be a man, you know what I'm saying? A man who respect and honor your manhood, you know what I mean? So he was punished for his lack of compliance, you know, and the whole time we had people out here like Jay-Z, who seemingly is just a genius businessman, and he got all these accomplishments. Now he supposed to be worth $2.5 billion. And his circumstances is just now turning into what it seems like R. Kelly went through. If you could remember back in like 2001 or 2002, R. Kelly was charged back then with doing some things with a 14-year-old girl.
All right.
And now fast forwarded to today, Jay-Z is being investigated for that and being sued already for doing some things with a 13-year-old girl, you know, a year younger than the one that R. Kelly was initially indicted for, you know. So you got to think about why now, you know what I mean? Is it because they realizing that they don't really need Jay-Z no more? Because I'm pretty sure that the incident that Jay-Z is involved in with the 13-year-old girl happened around the time that R. Kelly was charged for doing things with a 14-year-old girl. If you look at my previous interviews, like I first went viral in the beginning of 2023 about, you know, my situation with R. Kelly. And even since then, I was telling the public, not just indirectly, but sometimes directly, that the same thing that people look down on R. Kelly for, Jay-Z was engaged in the same type of activity. So my only point was, why y'all still honor him? Because y'all think he didn't, or because y'all don't know? Like, some of the facts was out there, like his artist Foxy Brown, you know what I mean? Even his business partner Dame Dash said he never wanted to sign Foxy Brown or didn't want dealings with her because of her age. But Jay-Z signed her. He had songs with her where they talking about sex and stuff like that. And she was only 15 at the time, and Jay-Z was 27. Not only that, but allegedly Jay-Z has a son named Rymir who been coming forward and been in the media a lot lately. And he been fighting for a paternity test for a while now, you know, and if Jay-Z was to ever take the paternity test, I'm pretty sure that Rymir would come out to be his son. But that's not the issue. The issue is that when you go back in time and you see when Rymir was born and you see how old Rymir's mother was at this time, you know, you will see that he had an underage girl pregnant all the way back then. So, of course, he's not going to want to take the paternity test. You know what I mean? Because that's proof that you were a grown man with an underage girl.
Amir's trying to get Jay-Z to take a blood test because they want what? Child support or something along those lines. Or he wants to know that this is my father. He probably, that alone, even if he removed child support, you at the very least want to know this who's my father. Jay-Z doesn't want to take it because he doesn't want to, if he is the father, then that's 100% proof. So he doesn't want that out there. Yeah. It always kills me, the guys that dodge, you know, child support. It's like, okay, well, if you know that's not your kid, then take the test.
Yeah.
Like, what's the problem? The only reason for you to dodge, you know, I mean, I have experience. I have a buddy who they're constantly looking for. The only reason is because, you know, there's a chance. You know, if you're 100% positive, like, just I've never had sex with that chick, I don't know who that chick is. They'll take the test, no problem.
See, Rymir basically made it clear that he not doing this because he want money from it. He want to be able to confirm what his mom said about Jay-Z being his father. Okay. And he said, that's it. But of course, Jay-Z don't want to go through the process, because if it's concluded that he is indeed the father, then we got to rewind the history back and say, well, she had this child when she was 16. So, and that's proof.
And his mom is still around?
No, his mom died mysteriously after publicizing that Jay-Z was the father to her son.
A lot of people mysteriously dying in this kind of murky world. of hip hop, and it's a dark world. It's there's a lot of, it's so funny because like the conspiracies, I hate, I don't even want to say conspiracies anymore. I don't know how else to say it, but it's not even like it's conspiracies, because like every time I say that, oh yeah, it's just a conspiracy. That's conspiracy theory. That doesn't mean anything. 6 months later, 2 years later, you find out, oh, actually, no, that's true. Really, like all this stuff that's coming out about Jay-Z and all that stuff that is happening with you, and that's all pretty recent. You get out of prison, you start kind of publicizing this, right? And you start going on the podcasts and stuff, and you're pretty vocal about it. What happened? I mean,
are we getting it when I got shot? 3 months after I first went viral talking about Jay-Z, or was it 2 months?
Well, or you
March, April, May, June. You 3 months.
And you did some videos and you start talking about this, right? So you start talking about it, you go on a bunch of podcasts, it gets a bunch of views. I mean, obviously Jay-Z's not happy about it, right? What's funny is like, if you didn't get any traction, he would shrug it off. Or maybe if there's no truth to it, right? Then he would just shrug it off. Like, there's no truth to that, and that's just somebody just running his mouth, and that don't mean nothing. The concern is it gets traction, people start looking into it, and they find out it's true, right? So that's the real concern. Because if somebody lying about you and saying something, and you're a celebrity, you just chalk it up to that's just par for the course. That's just what comes along with it. But you start getting traction on it. At one point, you're obviously becoming a problem. At one point, Jay-Z, I mean, at least according to the FBI, right? And you sent me I want to say it was an FBI 302, but anyway, it was basically a document from the FBI where the FBI says that someone who had been, I want to say, a confidential informant for them, let them know that somebody associated with Jay-Z had said that Jay-Z had put a hit out on you, which in and of itself really doesn't mean anything, right? Like, it could just be some guy talking. Not that I think that the FBI would take that person seriously unless they were like a trusted CI. But the fact is, you end up getting shot. Like, what happened? Like, they're trying to shut you down. The FBI is notified that there's a potential hit, because I think if the FBI had known that beforehand and taken it super serious, then they probably would have tried to reach out to you, right? Like, they know where you are. You're on probation. You just got out of prison. So I think they probably didn't take it super serious, or maybe they were looking into it, or maybe they got that document at the same time or just afterwards. I don't forget when it was, whether it was just before or just after when they were told. I think the document was dated after. So anyway, you end up getting shot. I mean, what happened with that?
Allegedly traveled to Brooklyn, New York to do a publicity stunt in Marcy Projects, where Jay-Z grew up at. And allegedly, while I was there, I got shot. So fast forwarding it up to the statement that you read, which is filed in federal court, FBI informant, they wasn't like telling on me. Like, I could be in trouble if they could find out that I was actually here, and I could only get in trouble because I didn't report the incident to my PO, and I didn't report that I was traveling to New York. You know what I mean? That's if that's the truth. I could get in trouble for that. But they was telling on Jay-Z's friend Tata, saying that he orchestrated it. Like, they wasn't even directly telling on Jay-Z. They was saying this dude Tata, who they identify as a close friend of Jay-Z, orchestrated the hit. You know what I mean? And when they questioned me about it, I said it didn't happen. And of course, I grew up under the growth and development movement, which was formerly led by Larry Hoover, and I live by certain principles and values. And one of those, is just not, we can't tell on people, you know what I mean? Whether he did it or not. Like, I can't tell on Jay-Z. That's just, totally against what I stand for, and totally against what, all of my close associates stand for. So I wouldn't even be looked at the same if I was to say, I know Jay-Z had something to do with me getting shot, especially to the FBI. You know what I mean? If I want to later come out and start speaking on these things publicly, you know, I mean, people may even consider that snitching. But, you know, just to sum it up, I just can't, whether it's true or not, I can't and won't tell on Jay-Z. And this happened before his situation with the 13-year-old. So when I looked at that, it's like, what do Jay-Z got going on? Is
Even before the lawsuit,
yes.
not before the incident, but before the lawsuit was even filed.
Yes. So that shows that they've been investigating him for things. And even before the lawsuit with the 13-year-old came up, there were YouTubers saying that Jay-Z isn't under investigation because of me. You know what I mean? People even said that I told on Jay-Z. Like, the statement shows that I didn't tell on him. If you go back and look at the interviews, I never even told on him or admitted to anything publicly. However, fast forwarding it to now, you know, if he has something to do with that, of course, we talked about this before. He feel like I can't go that route no more because now I'm hot, you know what I mean? And it's going to come back to me. So now I got to find another way to silence this dude or get him locked up or whatever I got to do to keep him from destroying my legacy and my reputation. Like, and that was confirmed by Sean Kelly saying that Jay-Z reached out to him about the interview. Like, that, again, that would have been a huge opportunity for me. And if I would have had the chance to speak on these things on that platform, that would have led to other opportunities. And that's what he fears. He don't want
You to have the opportunity to continue to spread this message. So
yes.
I do have a question. When you got shot, like, did you see the guy? Was it at a distance? Right. Okay. So, all right. So scratch that. So anyway.
No, you ain't got to scratch it, but
No, I'm saying, so all right. So we're not going to get anywhere there. Did anybody reach out to you and say, hey, you need to tone it down. You need to step back, anything like that?
Yeah, I was getting a lot of that. I was getting death threats. I was getting certain podcasters who wanted to interview me would say things like, I don't think you should say this about Jay-Z. And I felt like maybe Jay-Z had his hands tied into them somewhere. Like recently, you text me or called me the other day and told me that Sean Kelly, who was reaching out to do an interview with me, right?
Right.
Now, that would have been a major opportunity. He won Podcast of the Year last year. And just so happened, you text me and say, hey, Sean Kelly reached out and said he wanted to interview you. But did you say Jay-Z contacted him or Jay-Z attorney or?
He actually, what he said was, I saw your interview with Ronnie Bo. Jay-Z sent me a cease and desist, so I probably can't have him on. I know he was reaching out to us on email. Great interview, though.
Okay.
And I responded, why did you receive a cease and desist? Like, it didn't make sense. Like, why would he receive a cease and desist if he hadn't interviewed you yet? You see what I'm saying? Like, why would anybody? And then I didn't know by who. Well, I mean, he said by Jay-Z, but Jay-Z's not probably sending out anything. It's his lawyer. So then he sends me a copy of the cease and desist. And in the cease and desist, it's not a cease and desist from Jay-Z's attorney to him. It's a copy of a cease and desist that was sent to your attorney. To your probation officer. And it's just, cease and desist regarding conspiracy orchestrated by, Ronnie, and you mind if I say your last name?
Go ahead.
Ronnie Martin, and it's written to your probation officer. And then it goes on to basically say that you're like alleging, a complete conspiracy and the whole thing. So I told Sean Kelly, I said, this is the Ronnie's PO, not you. And he goes, I got it emailed to me. And I put, understood, sounds like they're trying to shut poor Ronnie down. And he goes, you didn't get one? And then I never even responded to that.
That indicates exactly what you said. They trying to shut me down. And from his words, he said that Jay-Z reached out to him. And then he showed the cease and desist. So I'm thinking, it seems to me that he actually communicated with Jay-Z, and Jay-Z told him, don't interview me because now y'all put me on what was just rewarded the #1 podcast in the world. So that type of exposure, when you get that type of exposure, it seems to the public like you more credible. And that's what they want to prevent. Like, as long as the public saying you lying and you not credible, then they probably won't even care. It don't even concern them. But as soon as the public start looking into it and saying, well, he was just on Digital Social Hour with Kelly and he went viral on Matthew Cox, and now it's hundreds of thousands of people, maybe even millions of people talking about what Ronnie Bo got to say about Jay-Z. Now I'm becoming a bigger influence, and that's what they feared. Like the case with Jaguar Wright, Piers Morgan, now she's being taken serious. You know what I mean? Now you got your lawyer reaching out to Piers Morgan saying, we will sue you, take the interview down. Like why? You know what I mean? Like if she lying or whatever, I can understand they can still shatter your image, but why you all of a sudden taking it serious? And then that was followed up by these allegations of the 13-year-old. So everything making sense now. You can't keep saying people lying. Jaguar Wright is like the voice of those who scared to speak up, and some want to speak up, but they done sign certain agreements to where it's like, I can't talk about this, or I jeopardize this, or whatever they put in the agreement. You know what I mean? But now here we are. Like, look at Lil Baby. You probably not too much into hip hop music, but Lil Baby was a few years ago the #1 rap artist in the world, Grammy nominated, double platinum records. And he recently did an interview with Charlemagne, who is a mainstream person. And his interview only did, to this day, like 45,000 views. Our last interview did 700 some thousand views. So people like Jay-Z is starting to look at that, like these YouTubers or influencers or whatever they want to call us are becoming a problem now. They getting big. Like, people are more interested in what Ronnie Bo got to say than what Lil Baby got to say. And he sold millions of records and Grammy nominated, maybe even a Grammy winner. You know what I mean? So now it's a different issue. So now that they seeing how powerful and influential people like me could become, now they have to intervene some way. Now they gotta somehow, I don't even know how he figured out that Sean Kelly wanted to interview me, but now you contact him and say, don't interview Ronnie Bo because I got a cease and desist against him. And you gonna end up like Piers Morgan, I'm guessing he's insinuated basically, you know what I mean? So
that happens, and now obviously, but like you just said, Jay-Z's trying to figure out how to shut you down, how to keep you, quiet. I'm sure he was thinking, one, assuming he's involved, like you're saying, assuming he's involved. One, he's going to take you out completely, and you're just not an issue anymore. But since it didn't happen, they were probably still thinking, hey, at least now he knows this is an issue, he's going to stop talking. But that's not what happened. Instead, you went on my platform. That video got 750,000 views. You went on Sean Atwood. You went on. Did you go on Jaguar right after that? Also, you went on a bunch of them.
Me and Jaguar right on her channel. We discuss other things, and Speaking of, well, Stevie Knight, my interview with him did like 400,000, and I was already speaking upon these things on Too Strong podcast with Corey, even prior to that. But yeah, it's been spreading.
Right. So you didn't stop talking. You know what I'm saying? You did what the goal was, of course, to get you to stop. Instead, what he does is he has his attorney write up a letter, an email, a cease and desist order, and he sends it to your probation officer. And I've been through this. I got a cease and desist order sent to my probation officer, and I was brought down. I got a phone call. Hey, where are you? I need you to be here at my office tomorrow at 9:00. Like, they don't care if you got a job. They don't get it. I was like, okay. So meet me at she was very stern. Like, you be at my office. I was like, okay. Luckily, I knew what it was about. It was a guy I'd written a book on. He was trying to get the book taken down. He was trying to get me thrown in jail, thrown back in prison. I go down there. She tells me what happened. This is what happened. I got a letter. This guy says that you're giving a hard time. It it alleged a whole bunch of stuff, and it was basically telling me to stop talking about this guy. Luckily, in his letter, the guy's a pathological liar. He said a bunch of stuff that was untrue, like he had met me one time in prison. He never worked with me on a book. He never this. Luckily, I was able to pull a bunch of documents out and say, oh, he said he never worked with me? She's like, no. I was able to show core links or emails from him where he typed up stories and directed them to me and then given me the stories, the printed out version with his name and regulation number and everything. So she was like, she's looking at these. I'm able to show her that. Then he said we didn't have an agreement or anything. She's like, yeah. I go, boom. And I show her a contract. So I got a contract with this guy, signed contract. And I said, did he say that he says we don't have a contract and he didn't sign it? I flipped the page and I have a photocopy of my ID and his ID side by side on the same picture or on the same paper. So obviously I laid them down on the copy machine, made a copy at the same time. So we were clearly in the same room.
Yeah.
And this is clearly his signature. So I show her all that and she nodded. She was like, oh, okay. She's like, well, it's good that you have all this, right? Like, she's like, oh, okay. Because I can tell you right now, if I didn't have those documents, there was a good chance I might have had my probation violated. And so I know how serious it is when someone is sending stuff to your probation officer, because your probation officer doesn't want any problems. It's one piece of paper for them to fill out to get you thrown back in jail, and then it takes you 6 months to a year to unravel that whole situation to get yourself back out. You are less paperwork in prison to them than you are out of prison. So that email was definitely directed to try and get you thrown back in prison.
But you know what? I had a visit with my PO yesterday, and we talked about these issues. I have a hearing coming up February 4th, revocation hearing, but it could go good and it could go bad. Like the judge said at the last hearing, October 3rd, I believe it was, that if Ronnie comes back with no violations and he's in compliance, then he's been on papers for over 3 years now, so we'll let him off. But if he come back with any more violations, because I sent you my court documents. I have allegations of pistol whipping somebody. That's serious. It's the reason I'm not locked up. You know what I mean? It's no witnesses said that this dude walked up to me with a gun. So whatever I did after that was self-defense. Okay. Then I got people, YouTubers going live, calling my PO live, showing their audience and putting my PO number on the screen saying Ronnie Martin is part of a RICO based in the United Kingdom. I'm assuming the only people I'm affiliated with out there is Sean Atwood and his team. So I don't know where that's coming from, but many other allegations they made. But with all these allegations, my PO basically said, well, look, there's no proof. If I had proof, trust me, I would lock you up. I would have to lock you up. But I'm not going to even bring these allegations in front of the judge because there's no proof. And you already facing revocation for allegations that was never proven. So we can't just keep on bringing forth allegations with no proof, you know what I mean? So even under all these circumstances, the cease desist, they can try to silence me. I'm still good. You know what I mean? Like I got a different force behind me, and people will assume that I'm some ignorant, illiterate guy, but I know what I'm doing. You know what I mean? I know things I can and cannot say without having legal consequence. And another thing I want to mention, because there have been a lot of bloggers insinuating that, you know, they're going to do it anyway. Every story that just seems too good to be true, they assume you lying, right? So with regards to the situation you just explained with the dude you was locked up with, you got to think, why has R. Kelly never came forth and tried to do that with me? And why he never came forth and said Ronnie Bo lying? Now, I have proof. It's documented history that I was locked up with R. Kelly. I have a lawsuit with him, a part of the lawsuit from when we was in MCC Chicago together between 2019 and 2021, you know? But I mean, although his brother, Bruce Kelly, his brother actually did an interview with Too Strong about me, and he confirmed that, yeah, they cool, but he basically said R. Kelly is leery of me because he don't know my angle. He don't know why I'm being nice, why I help him get on general population. And to this day, like, R. Kelly is in jail and he's safe. And R. Kelly know that he's safe to this day because of me. You know what I mean? And that's not, some people could take that the wrong way and see that as a threat, but I'm not saying that if I wanted to go against R. Kelly, something bad happened to him. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying he's safe now because of me, and he know that. So
once again, I appreciate you guys watching. Thank you very much. See ya.